I thought you were going to finish it. It's one of the greatest themes in all of film history.
Yeah, that's great.
So I was just thinking about the Roman Empire, as one does.
There's that whole meme where old guys are thinking about the Roman Empire at least once a day.
And half the population is confused whether it's true or not. But more seriously, thinking about the wars going on in the world today. And as you know, war and military conquest has been a big part of Roman society and culture. And it, I think, has been a big part of most empires and dynasties throughout human history. So
yeah, they usually came as a result of conquest. I mean, there's some like the Austro-Hungarian Empire where there was just a lot of sort of clever marriages.
But fundamentally, there's an engine of conquest. And they celebrate excellence in warfare. Many of the leaders were excellent generals. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, big picture question. Grok approved. I asked if this is a good question to ask.
Kid tested, Grok approved?
Yeah. At least on fun mode. To what degree do you think war is part of human nature versus a consequence of how human societies are structured? I ask this as you have somehow controversially been a proponent of peace.
I'm generally a proponent of peace. I mean, ignorance is perhaps, in my view, the real enemy to be countered. That's the real hard part, not, fighting other humans. But all creatures fight. I mean, the jungle is you look at people think of this nature as perhaps some sort of peaceful thing, but in fact it is not. There's some quite funny Werner Herzog thing where he's like in the jungle, like saying that it's like basically just murder and death in every direction. I mean, the plants and animals in the jungle are constantly trying to kill and eat each other every single day, every minute. So it's not like, we're unusual in that respect.
Well, there's a relevant question here, whether with greater intelligence comes greater control over these base instincts for violence.
Yes. We have much more of an ability to control our limbic instinct for violence than, say, a chimpanzee. And in fact, if one looks at, say, chimpanzee society, it is not friendly. I mean, the bonobos are an exception. But chimpanzee society is filled with violence, and it's quite horrific, frankly. That's our limbic system in action. Like, you don't want to be on the wrong side of a chimpanzee. It'll eat your face off and tear your nuts off.
Yeah, basically, there's no limits or ethics or the Romans had just war. There's no just war in the chimpanzee societies. Is war and dominance by any means necessary?
Yeah, chimpanzee society is like a primitive version of human society. They're not like peace loving, basically, at all. There's extreme violence, and then once in a while, somebody who's watched too many Disney movies decides to raise a chimpanzee as a pet, and then that eats their face or rips their nuts off or chews their fingers off, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's happened several times.
Ripping your nuts off is an interesting strategy for interaction.
It's happened to people. It's unfortunate. Like that's, I guess, one way to ensure that the other chimp doesn't, contribute to the gene pool.
Well, from a martial arts perspective, it's a fascinating strategy.
the nut ripper.
I wonder which of the martial arts teaches that.
I think it's safe to say if somebody's got your nuts in their hands and has the option of ripping them off, you will be amenable to whatever they want.
Yeah. Safe to say. So, like I said, somehow controversially, you've been a proponent of peace on Twitter, on X.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about the wars going on today and to see what the path to peace could be. How do you hope the current war in Israel and Gaza comes to an end? What path do you see that can minimize human suffering in the long term in that part of the world?
Well, I think that part of the world is definitely like if you look up there is no easy answer in the dictionary. It'll be that like the picture of the Middle East, and Israel especially. So there is no easy answer. or what my this is strictly my opinion of is that the goal of Hamas was to provoke an overreaction from Israel. They obviously did not expect to have a military victory, but they really wanted to commit the worst atrocities that they could in order to provoke the most aggressive response possible from Israel, and then leverage that aggressive response to rally Muslims worldwide for the cause of Gaza and Palestine, which they have succeeded in doing. So the counterintuitive thing here, I think that the thing that I think should be done, even though it is very difficult, is that I would recommend that Israel engage in the most conspicuous acts of kindness possible. Everything. That is the actual thing that would thwart the goal of Hamas.
So, in some sense, the degree that makes sense in geopolitics, turn the other cheek, implemented.
It's not exactly turn the other cheek, because I do think that there's, I think it is appropriate for Israel to find the Hamas members and, either kill them or incarcerate them. Like that's something has to be done because they're just going to keep coming otherwise. But in addition to that, they need to do whatever they can. There's some talk of establishing, for example, a mobile hospital. I'd recommend doing that. Just making sure that there's food, water, medical necessities, and just be over the top about it and be very transparent, so that people can't claim it's a trick. Like just put a webcam on the thing, all 24/7. Does the solution exist?
Yeah.
On what plane does the solution exist?
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder is, either perhaps everything's conscious or nothing is conscious. One of the two.
I like the former. Everything conscious just seems more fun.
It does seem more fun, yes. But we're composed of atoms, and those atoms are composed of quarks and leptons. And those quarks and leptons have been around since the beginning of the universe.
The beginning of the universe.
Right. What seems to be the beginning of the universe.
The first time we talked, you said which is surreal to think that this discussion was happening and is becoming a reality. I asked you what question would you ask an AGI system once you create it, and you said what's outside the simulation is the question. And good question.
Yeah.
But it seems like with Grok, you started literally this system's goal is to be able to ask such questions, to answer such questions, and to ask such questions.
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
That's one of the Fermi paradox question. A lot of people have asked me if I've seen any evidence of aliens, and I haven't, which is kind of concerning because then I think I'd probably prefer to at least have seen some archaeological evidence of aliens. To the best of my knowledge, there is no proof. I'm not aware of any evidence of aliens. If they're out there, they're very subtle. We might just be the only consciousness, at least in the galaxy. And if you look at, say, the history of Earth, if one is to believe the archaeological record, Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Civilization, as measured from the first writing, is only about 5,000 years old. We have to give some credit there to the ancient Sumerians, who aren't around anymore. I think it was archaic pre-cuneiform was the first actual symbolic representation, but only about 5,000 years ago. I think that's a good date for when we'd say civilization started. That's 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence. So civilization has been around. It's really a flash in the pan so far. And why have we? Why did it take so long? For 4.5 billion years. for the vast majority of the time, there was no life, and then there was archaic bacteria for a very long time, and then you had mitochondria get captured, multicellular life, differentiation into plants and animals, life moving from the oceans to land, mammals, higher brain functions. And the sun is expanding slowly, but it will overheat. It will heat the Earth up at some point in the future, boil the oceans, and Earth will become like Venus, where no life as we know it is impossible. So if we do not become multiplanetary and ultimately go beyond our solar system, annihilation of all life on Earth is a certainty. A certainty. And it could be as little as, on the galactic timescale, 500 million years. It's a long time by human standards, but that's only 10% longer than Earth has been around at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if life had taken 10% longer to evolve on Earth, it wouldn't exist at all.
We got a deadline coming up.
Yeah.
Better hurry. But that said, as you said, intelligent life on Earth developed a lot of cool stuff very quickly. So
yes,
it seems like becoming multiplanetary is almost inevitable, unless we destroy.
We need to do it. I mean, it's not. I mean, I suspect that there. If we are able to go out there and explore other star systems, there's a good chance we find a whole bunch of long dead one planet civilizations.
Yeah,
that never made it past their home planet.
that's so sad.
Yeah,
sad. Also fascinating.
I mean, there are various explanations for the Fermi paradox, and one is the sort of there are these great filters which civilizations don't pass through, and one of those great filters is: do you become a multi-planet civilization or not? And if you don't, it's simply a matter of time before something happens on your planet, either natural or man-made, that causes us to die out, like the dinosaurs. Where are they now? They didn't have spaceships. So
I think the more likely thing is, because just to empathize with the aliens, that they found us and they're protecting us and letting us be.
I hope so. I've been nice aliens.
Just like the tribes in the Amazon, the uncontacted tribes were protecting them. That's what.
That would be a nice explanation.
Or you could have like what was it? I think Andre Karpathy said it's like the ants in the Amazon asking, "Where's everybody?"
Well, they do run into a lot of other ants.
That's true.
They have these ant wars.
Sounds like a good TV show.
Yeah, they literally have these big wars between various ants.
Yeah, maybe I'm just dismissing all the different diversity of ants.
You should listen to that Werner Herzog talking about the jungle. It's really hilarious. Have you heard it?
No, I have not.
It's awesome.
But Werner Herzog is a way.
You should play it for the as an interlude in the. Yeah. It's on YouTube. It's awesome.
I love him so much.
Yeah, he's great.
Was he the director of Happy People, Life in the Taiga? I think also.
He did that bear documentary.
The bear documentary.
And did this thing about penguins.
Yeah. the analysis, the psychoanalysis of a penguin.
Yeah, the penguin's like headed for like mountains like that are like 70 miles away.
Yeah.
And penguin is just headed for doom, basically.
Well, he had a cynical take. He could be just a brave explorer, and there would be great stories told about him amongst the penguin population for many centuries to come. What were we talking about? Okay.
Yeah, so aliens, I mean, I don't know. Look, I think the smart move is just, this is the first time in the history of Earth that it's been possible for life to extend beyond Earth. That window is open. Now, it may be open for a long time, or it may be open for a short time. And it may be open now and then never open again. So I think the smart move here is to make life multiplanetary while it is possible to do so. We don't want to be one of those lame one planet civilizations
No,
that just dies out.
no, those are lame.
Yeah, lame.
um,
No, self-respecting civilization would be one planet.
there's not going to be a Wikipedia entry for one of those. And pause. Does SpaceX have an official policy for when we meet aliens?
No.
Okay. That seems irresponsible.
I mean, look, if I see the slightest indication that there are aliens, I will immediately post on the X platform.
Yeah.
Anything I know.
It could be the most liked, reposted post of all time.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have more satellites up there right now than everyone else combined. So, we know if we've got to maneuver around something, and we don't have to maneuver around anything.
If we go to the big questions once again, you said you're with Einstein, that you believe in the God of Spinoza.
Yes.
So that's a view that God is like the universe and reveals himself through the laws of physics, or as Einstein said, through the lawful harmony of the world.
Yeah, I would agree that God of the simulator or whatever the supreme being or beings reveal themselves through the physics. They're creators of this existence, and it's incumbent upon us to try to understand more about this wondrous creation.
Like, who created this thing? Who's running this thing? Like, embodying it into a singular question with a sexy word on top of it is like focusing the mind to understand. It does seem like there's again, it could be an illusion. It seemed like there's a purpose. It's almost a poem. It seems that training LLMs efficiently is a big focus for XAI. What's the first of all, what's the limit of what's possible in terms of efficiency? There's this terminology of useful productivity per watt. Like, what have you learned from pushing the limits of that?
Well, I think it's helpful. The tools of physics are very powerful and can be applied, I think, to almost any arena in life. Mm-hmm. It's really just critical thinking. For something important, you need to reason from first principles and think about things in the limit, one direction or the other. So, in the limit, even at the Kardashev scale, meaning even if you harness the entire power of the sun. So that's where I think probably where things are headed from the standpoint of AI is that we have a silicon shortage now that will transition to a voltage transformer shortage in about a year. Mm-hmm. Ironically, transformers for transformers. You need transformers to run transformers.
Somebody has a sense of humor in this thing.
I think, yes.
Oh, man.
Fate loves irony. Ironic humor. And an ironically funny outcome seems to be often what fate wants.
Humor is all you need. I think spice is all you need. Somebody posted.
Yeah, but yeah, so we have a silicon shortage today. A voltage step down transformer shortage probably in about a year, and then just electricity shortages in general in about 2 years. I gave a speech for the sort of world gathering of utility companies, electricity companies, mm-hmm. And I said, look, you really need to prepare for a tripling of electricity demand, because all transport is going to go electric, with the ironic exception of rockets, and heating will also go electric. So energy usage right now is roughly 1/3, for very rough terms, 1/3 electricity, 1/3 transport, 1/3 heating. And so in order for everything to go sustainable, to go electric, you need to triple electricity output. So I encourage the utilities to build more power plants and also to probably have, well, not probably, they should definitely buy more batteries, because the grid currently is sized for real-time load, which is kind of crazy, because that means you got to size for whatever the peak electricity demand is, like the worst second or the worst day of the year, mm-hmm. or you can have a brownout or a blackout. And we had that crazy blackout for several days in Austin. So because there's almost no buffering of energy in the grid. Like if you've got a hydro power plant, you can buffer energy, but otherwise it's all real time. So with batteries, you can produce energy at night and use it during the day. So you can buffer. So I expect that there will be very heavy usage of batteries in the future. Because the peak to trough ratio for power plants is anywhere from 2 to 5. So it's like lowest point to highest point.
So like batteries are necessary to balance it out. And then, but the demand, as you're saying, is going to grow.
Yeah.
And part of that is the compute.
Yes. I mean, electrification. I mean, electrification of transport and electric heating will be much bigger than AI, at least
In the short term.
In the short term. But even for AI, you really have a growing demand for electricity for electric vehicles, and a growing demand for electricity to run the computers for AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is obviously going to lead to an electricity shortage.
How difficult is the problem of, in this particular case, maximizing the useful productivity per watt for training neural nets? Like this seems to be really where the big problem we're facing that needs to be solved is how to use the power efficiently. Like what you've learned so far about applying this physics, first principle reasoning in this domain, how difficult is this problem?
It will get solved. It's just a question of how long it takes to solve it. So at various points, there's a limit, some kind of limiting factor to progress. And with regard to AI, I'm saying like right now the limiting factor is silicon chips, and that we're gonna then have more chips than we can actually plug in and turn on, probably in about a year. The initial constraint being literally voltage step down transformers, because you've got power coming in at 300,000 volts, and it's got to step all the way down eventually to around 0.7 volts. So it's a very big amount of, the voltage step down is gigantic. So and the industry is not used to rapid growth.
Okay, let's talk about the competition here. You've shown concern about Google and Microsoft with OpenAI developing AGI. How can you help ensure with XAI and Tesla AI work that it doesn't become a competitive race to AGI, but instead is a collaborative development of safe AGI?
Well, I mean, I've been pushing for some kind of regulatory oversight for a long time. I've been somewhat of a Cassandra on the subject for over a decade. I think we want to be very careful in how we develop AI. It's a great power, and with great power comes great responsibility. I think it would be wise for us to have at least an objective third party who can be like a referee that can go in and understand what the various leading players are doing with AI. And even if there's no enforcement ability, they can at least voice concerns publicly. Jeff Hinton, for example, left Google and he voiced strong concerns, but now he's not at Google anymore. So who's going to voice the concerns? So I think there's, Tesla gets a lot of regulatory oversight on the automotive front. I mean, we're subject to, I think, over 100 regulatory agencies domestically and internationally. It's a lot. You could fill this room with all the regulations that Tesla has to adhere to for automotive. Same is true in for rockets and for currently the limiting factor for SpaceX for Starship launch is regulatory approval. The FAA has actually given their approval, but we're waiting for Fish and Wildlife to finish their analysis and give their approval. That's why I posted, I want to buy a fish license on, which also refers to the Monty Python sketch.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need a license for your fish? I don't know. But according to the rules, I'm told you need some sort of fish license or something. We effectively need a fish license to launch a rocket. And
I
I'm
mean,
like, wait
there's
a second, how did the fish come into the picture?
yeah,
I mean, some of the things like that it's I feel like are so absurd that I want to do like a comedy sketch and flash at the bottom. This is all real. This
yeah.
is actually what happened.
Mhm.
Um, one of the things that was a bit of a challenge at one point is that they were worried about a rocket hitting a shark,
Mhm.
and the ocean's very big, and how often do you see sharks? Uh, Not that often. As a percentage of ocean surface area, sharks basically are zero. And so then we said, well, how will we calculate the probability of telling a shark? And then they're like, well, we can't give you that information because they're worried about shark fin hunters uh, going and hunting sharks. And I said, well, how are we supposed to? We're on the horns of a dilemma then.
Mhm.
Then they said, well, there's another part of Fish and Wildlife that can do this analysis. I'm like, well, why don't you give them the data? Like, we don't trust them. Like, excuse me, they're literally in your department. And again,
Yeah.
this is actually what happened. And then can you do an NDA or something? Eventually, they managed to solve the internal quandary, and indeed, the probability of us hitting a shark is essentially zero. Then there's another organization that I didn't realize existed until a few months ago that cares about whether we would potentially hit a whale in international waters. Now, again, you look at the surface of look at the Pacific and say, what percentage of the Pacific consists of whale? Like, he'll give you a big picture and like point out all the whales in this picture. I'm like, I don't see any whales. It's like basically 0%. And if our rocket does hit a whale, which is extremely unlikely beyond all belief, that is the fate had it. That whale has some seriously bad luck.
Mhm.
It's like the least lucky whale ever. And
I mean, this is quite absurd.
yeah,
The bureaucracy of this, however it emerged.
yes. Well, I mean, one of the things that's pretty wild is for launching out of Vandenberg in California, they were worried about seal procreation, whether the seals would be dismayed by the sonic booms. Now, there have been a lot of rockets launched out of Vandenberg, and the seal population has steadily increased. So if anything, rocket booms are an aphrodisiac, based on the evidence, if you would correlate rocket launches with seal population.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, we were forced to kidnap a seal, strap it to a board, put headphones on the seal, and play sonic boom sounds to it to see if it would be distressed. This is an actual thing that happened. This is actually real.